Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to Watchbox, and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com. It's in the description below. It is your purchase and pricing email question line for buying this or any watch you see on any Watchbox platform. Please reach out to me directly. Email tmosso at thewatchbox.com for pricing. Today, we're discussing the Omega Seamaster Planet Ocean 600 meter. This is the creamsicle, 43.5 millimeters in diameter in stainless steel. The watch is 16.2 millimeters thick, 49 millimeters from lug tip to lug tip with a 21 millimeter spacing between the lugs. We'll throw it on my wrist, which is 16 centimeters in circumference. You can get a sense of how it wears. This size, the 43.5, used to be exclusive to Planet Ocean GMTs. And it's only in the current generation of the watch that it's become available on a standard three-hand date diver. It's a good look. As you can see, the watch is pretty thick, but it's not excessively broad across the wrist for something nearly 44 millimeters in diameter. I would recommend it for a wrist of my size or larger, so 16 centimeters circumference or up. If your wrist is really oval or flat across the top, maybe a 15 centimeter circumference wrist could pull this off. The bracelet features a conforming end link to better mate it to the case without a gap. We have 3-link design with ovoid cross sections. Everything's satin finished. There's a little bit of a taper down from the end link to the bracelet. Removable links are fixed by screws, and there's quite a few of them, so you've got quite a few sizing options and opportunities. There's a conventional fold-out dive extension there, and then we have 9.6 millimeters of incremental adjustment via a push-button slider. That can be used for dive extension, but it can also be used for fine-tuning size. The clasp is a thick gauge steel body with a thick gauge steel single folding swing arm, twin trigger release with polished ovoid cross sections. There's a little bit of a bevel on each side of the clasp. You can see the engraving remains deep and sharp. Rolling around the case, this is a case we've come to know and love over the years. We have those lyre-style lugs, which means they are inwardly beveled and outwardly beveled on Omega watches since the early 1960s. We have a transitional bevel that moves through the mid-case, widening at the end of the lugs, and then we have satinated mid-case, a media-blasted and polished crown, a helium escape valve that likewise is media-blasted and polished. Open this up, and if you're surfacing from saturation diving, if the internal pressure exceeds external pressure by 2 to 3 bar, then provided this is unscrewed, the internal valve opens and releases the helium from the case so that it will not eject the crystals or seals from your watch. We have a bezel that is 120 click and has a delightfully crisp and precise action. Let's hear it. Hugely competitive with Rolex. This might be the best feeling dive bezel on any Omega Seamaster. Now, once upon a time, the orange ceramic insert on a Planet Ocean bezel would have come only on a platinum watch costing well over $70,000. So since that watch back in 2013, Omega has democratized this orange ceramic. So you're looking at the real thing. All of this is scratch-resistant ceramic. It is not orange rubber as Omega used to use. Taking a quick look, you can see the entirety of the bezel as well as all 3 hands, luminescent, and we have differential lume color. Green for the bezel index as well as the minute hand, so you can quickly read these things relative to each other in the dark. Every dive watch should have a lumed seconds hand, so you know in the dark and in the depths that your watch is still in operation. Sadly, every dive watch does not follow that convention, but Omega is doing things the right way. The dial base is made of white ceramic, which means it has almost all of the advantages of enamel without the fragility and expense, so that's really nice to see. We have vintage-inspired orange tri-Arabic numerals 6, 9, and 12. The Seamaster logo and the depth rating, both in orange for a little bit of extra contrast. Lovely polished rhodium-plated hands and indices. We have broad arrow-style hour and minute hands. To remind you that when it debuted back in 2005, this was before the Seamaster 300s came around. The Planet Ocean was considered to be the most overtly vintage-inspired of the Seamasters. Now, we've got a crown that's a screw-down, 600-meter water resistance, and I have this feature that allows me to jump the hour hand while the minute hand remains stationary and the seconds hand keeps ticking. You also note that I can jump the date forward or backwards as I cross the international date line. That's a great feature for travelers. And then I have a hacking or stop seconds function so I can easily synchronize my watch to a reference time. We're going to open up the back. We're going to open up the clasp. Take a look at the movement. This is the Omega exclusive, caliber 8900. I say that because it is designed and made by ETA, but exclusively for the Omega brand within the Swatch group. It's one big happy family, so if you want to think of it as in-house, you can. It's a bidirectional winder, automatic winding, 60-hour power reserve, 2 barrels. The 2 barrels meaning, though it doesn't have a huge power reserve, it has an above-average reserve. The 2 barrels are really there to provide more even torque release, so you don't have a big amplitude drop-off on the balance after 18, 24, 36 hours like you would with a single barrel. 39 joules. We have a shock-resistant, full balance bridge, free-sprung balance arrangement, anti-magnetic silicone hairspring, balance staff, and escapement. So this watch is a master chronometer rated to over 15,000 Gauss anti-magnetism. Now, it meets the COSC chronometer standards for the bare movement, but it goes above and beyond. METAS is a master chronometer certification created in conjunction with the METAS people, the Swiss Federal Institute of Metrology. So it's a test of chronometry of the tested and assembled timepiece. Water resistance, shock resistance, winding efficiency, power reserve, anti-magnetism, they all go into the master chronometer certification on top of the bare COSC requirements. Now we have a tri-level coaxial escapement, as envisioned by George Daniels in 1974, industrialized by Omega in 1999. Today, it realizes just about all of his original hopes for the system by improving power reserve, reducing the need for maintenance, and improving chronometry. And of course, it beats away at 25,200 vibrations per hour, which is the quirky Swatch Group rate for silicone hairspring watches. And it features blackened screws, polished screws, and then these arabesque Côte de Genève across the bridges and the rotor. Reach out to Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com for purchase and pricing details.